have been given, and the ministers are not obviously here on account of restriction on numbers due to COVID regulations. The Council today ratified the Council approved a policy on food and nutrition for the country. And following the approval coming from, which is forming the basis of a national multi-sectoral plan for action for food and nutrition, there will be going forward a budget line for food and nutrition in all MDAs and hopefully in the 3 tiers of government in the country. Another approval is for the Attorney General to proceed with the process of ratifying the promotional framework for occupational safety and health convention. This is about promoting preventive health, preventive safety and healthcare in workplaces in the country. So the government of Nigeria has begun the process of ratifying, domesticating and applying this major resolution decision by the International Labour Organization, which was passed in 2006. Nigeria, of course, had voted and supported it. So we are now going to ratify that. One other thing that also you need to know, which Minister is not here, is the approval for a 1.2 billion naira contract for the emergency rehabilitation of the Nasarawa water supply scheme. The floods in the year 2000 had destroyed Nasarawa Township in Nasarawa State. It destroyed the waterworks. And as a result, pipe-borne water is unavailable to the communities, and the whole water intake has been destroyed. And in order to preserve public health, and of course the difficulty of the state government in restoring the water supply scheme, the federal government has made this major approval, which upon completion would be handed over to the Nasarawa state government for maintenance and upkeep. Having said this, I think these are the ones that are not represented here. I would inform you that the council approved a 500 million naira contract for the consultancy for the design and for the design of the construction of the second runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. 500 million. If you have any questions, please do. Yes, Dr. Leon. And
ladies and gentlemen, today I presented 2 memos to Council, and I've gotten the approval for both. The first memo was to seek for approval for the award of contract for procurement of 40 sets of 330 kV isolators for the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The isolators are placed at various locations across the grid throughout the country. Once there is a maintenance that is needed to be carried out on a certain part of the grid, these equipment are used to isolate that particular area and allowing the flow of energy on the other areas. That is what the isolators are. They are critical maintenance equipment, so usually, as we cannot afford to shut down the system because of lack of these equipment, we usually stock them in the store so that they can be immediately deployed to site once there is a need for them. So these equipment were approved for us to under contract in favor of Messrs. Hinterland Associates Limited. At the sum of the foreign component is US dollar 989,346 15 cents. Then the Naira component is 64,236,625 Naira with 7.5% VAT payable at the Central Bank of Nigeria prevailing exchange rate at the time of payment with a delivery period of 6 months. This is the first approval we got. So the second one is also a critical maintenance equipment. This one is for the procurement of one set of 132 kV Crompton Creve circuit breaker, 16 sets of 33 kV ABB circuit breakers, and 25 sets of 33 kV Crompton Creves lightning arrestors for the transmission company of Nigeria. This is also, as the previous one, this one also is a critical maintenance equipment which we need to have on ground in the store as backups. Immediately we have faulty ones, we quickly replace them so that we can maintain service throughout. So the circuit breakers, as you may know, is the function is the same like the one you have in your houses. Once there is fault, it will trip off what we call the circuit breakers. And if you want to stop the energy from going to your house, you can as well trip it off by pushing a button. So, but this one is in a larger scale and dimension. So the dimension is large, and the capacity also. So it is used on the grid. So once there is problem on the power national grid, the circuit breakers will automatically switch off that portion. So these are also, like I said, critical maintenance equipment, which after the due processes, Messrs. M2 International Limited secured the contract in the sum of 362,796,000 Naira, inclusive of 7.5% VAT with a delivery period of 6 months. So these are the two approvals we secured from Council today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. I was here just yesterday, and I don't think anything has changed as to my position yesterday. I just started work day before today. I started with the briefing I have been receiving, and today it's fake. As I leave here, I'll go and continue with the briefing. But my sister wants to know what is in my mind. Yes, I know. Power first needed to be generated, and that part has been sold, privatized. It's done by the GENCOs. They generate the power. Now the transmission, what is generated will be transmitted through the national power grid. Then it will be received by the DISCOs, at the distribution level to distribute to homes and industries, schools, and that downstream also has been privatized. So the federal government is the one having the TCN, which is the Transmission Company of Nigeria, of which this memo speaks to you about. Now, but the policy aspect is still with the federal government. What I have in mind is to look at ways to work with the GENCOs, the DISCOs, and the transmission company of Nigeria. That is the value chain, from the upstream to the downstream. As you mentioned, the fluctuation in the megawatts. So is to have incremental power. You can only do that if you are able to increase from generation, then the capacity of the conveyor, which is the TCN, and to ginger the discourse to be able to receive what has been transmitted to them to distribute. Then look at other areas, other sources where you can generate the energy. As it is now, most of our generation comes from the thermal, so which is fueled by the fossil fuel, gas, around 80% or thereabout. I don't want to be specifics because I'm still gathering information on that. Now, the other percentage is gotten from renewable energy, hydro, solar, but it's a very small percentage. Now, and there are projects that are ongoing, which are not completed. We will look into them, see what are the problems, what are their challenges, and see how we can complete them so that we can have the incremental power I talk about, so that we gather all the generation together so that we have a very high capacity. Now, the distribution company, the transmission company, just like I told you, those equipments that we presented to power that we needed to procure, and cabinet that we needed to procure, we need to have them in stock, enough to maintain our system. Whatever happens, we can quickly deploy. We don't have to start repairing, and we can quickly deploy and replace them. This is one. And we have to look at the obsolete ones along the system to replace them. Now, the discourse needed to be made very, very responsible, to be able to increase in their capacity, because I realize sometimes the power would be on the grid, but due to lack of capacity of some of the discourse, they cannot receive it. So these are all issues that we have to deal with. And the most important thing is to bring everybody on board. Everyone should come together and synergize to ensure that whoever we found is not we find is not playing the way we want to play to deliver this objective, we have to show him the way. We have to have integrity in the system throughout. We have to have competence. So this is my thinking, but I am not going to do it alone. That's why I said I have been receiving briefing from those that I've met there. Mine is to provide leadership and to ensure that we deliver power to Nigeria and to have it uninterrupted. So, like I said, it is not only those on the power sector. I said it yesterday. You also can contribute Don't feel you are outside that area. No, you are part of us. You can contribute in any way you can to put us on our toes by constructive engagement, by giving us good advices. Don't pull us down. So, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. And
you, and may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. Mine is a memo in which I presented before the Federal Executive Council, which has also been approved after deliberation. That is the National Policy on Fifth Generation Networks for Nigeria's Digital Economy, the National Policy on 5G. So that policy has been approved by the Federal Executive Council today. And furthermore, the policy discusses the benefits to be attained through the deployment of 5G in Nigeria and in any part of the world, which includes like lower latency, like larger capacity, and also like higher data rate. These are the three major benefits of fifth generation. And in a simple language, we can say it will open many opportunities economically, academically, educationally, and even in health sector. And it will also support our security institutions, particularly in areas where they need high quality services. So these are some of the benefits to be anticipated when fifth generation or 5G is deployed in Nigeria. And prior to that, as you all know, in 2020, there was a time that we started working and we started the fifth generation trials. And there was a complaint from citizens about relationship between 5G and COVID-19. Because of our government is a responsible one, we put everything on hold. We engage more stakeholders. We spent almost 18 months working on that. And we also wait for the resolution and the verdict of the two most important organizations globally when it comes to the deployment of telecommunications facilities. These are, firstly, International Telecommunications Union, that is ITU, which is an arm of the United Nations, and also World Health Organization, that is WHO, which is another arm of the United Nations. Both of them confirm that there is no any adverse health effect of 5G, and it has not been proven to be any harmful to our health. Most importantly, even its frequency and radiation is even lower than that of 4G and even lower than the televisions and microwave we have at home. So they have already issued that, and they explain about its safety, and also they advise nations on the regulations and the standards to be used in the course of the deployment. And this is something that the Nigerian Communications Commission has been directed to ensure that all the standards and regulations are complied with. And furthermore, you will all recall that in order to create awareness and sensitize our citizens, Nigerian Communications Commission has been reaching out to citizens through local languages to tell them the advantages of 5G and where we need it. Even the deployment is in phases. We can only start with major cities in Nigeria where there is need of a very high quality broadband. So only few places will start to benefit from it. And we do hope that a plan will come up immediately that will show that from now to 2025, we will be able to ensure that significant towns and cities in the country will also benefit from 5G. We organize stakeholders prior to the presenting of the memo in at least 5 to 6 stages. We were in the National Assembly for public hearing, in which stakeholders were invited. We did the trials of 5G on 29 November 2019, which I personally did the trial here in Abuja, and we conducted the same trial in 5 other cities in the country. And this is to show to us that government has engaged citizens and at the same time allowed experts and other stakeholders to make recommendations, suggestions, and even constructive criticism where necessary in order to ensure a successful deliberation before the deployment. And finally, the National Frequency Management Council, which is the statutory council in which I happen to be the chair, will release the spectrum of 5G to the Nigerian Communications Commission in bulk when the conditions of deployment are met, so that the Nigerian Communications Commission, on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, will release the spectrum to the mobile network operators for the deployment of 5G. With the approval of this national policy on 5th generation or 5G, NCC has been directed to start immediately, to start working immediately to come up with regulatory instrument that will ensure its safety and many more. Our government gives more priority and preference to the health and security of our citizens, as in the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended under Section 14, subsection 2, Article B. So that is why a subsidiary legislation is going to be developed to ensure that 5G could only be useful in Nigeria, and we cannot allow it to be harmful in any place. Finally, let us all recall that it has been deployed in the US, in the UK, in Switzerland, in Germany, and in so many European countries. It has also been developed in the Republic of Korea, in China, and it has also been deployed in Africa, like here in South Africa, in Lesotho. And there are other countries that are also working in the same pace we have been, like Kenya, like Uganda, and Morocco, and Egypt. All of them are just at the last stage of the deployment of 5G. And I congratulate Nigerians for getting the memo approved by the Federal Executive Council, and I do hope that we will soon benefit from 5G to get high quality broadband. Thank you very much. You can hear me. Thank you. I will begin by responding to my friend, the first questioner, about shutting down telecommunications facilities in some parts of northwest of Nigeria. Prior to responding to the question, I want to clarify to all of us that the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 1999, Section 14, subsection 2, under Article B, has expounded to us that the primary responsibility of government is the security and welfare of its citizens. Understanding the priority of security makes the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari GC ever to always make sure that our priority number one is security, because this is what the Constitution says. And any action to be taken, as long as it will support security institutions to achieve and deliver their responsibilities, government is willing to do that for them. Furthermore, security issues cannot be discussed in public like this. Most importantly, I am not in the better position to justify the shutting down of telecommunications because of security. I am aware of the shutting down, but the request is not from us, but rather the request is from the security institutions, in which they ask for that as part of their strategy. Because of this, government allowed them to go ahead. And even that one, the reason for doing that, I may be aware of some, but I'm sorry to say it's not for public discussion. But what I only plead with all of us as laymen, we should try to give our security institutions the support they need in order to deliver on their mandate. Security issues today are not only for the security institutions alone, but there is a role that each and every citizen can play in order to make their work more successful. So I plead with the media to support our security institutions, and let us give them the benefit of doubt. When they come up with a strategy, let us not unnecessarily criticize it, except we allow them to begin and see. Particularly, they could have information at their disposal that you and I do not have. And if you lack information, you will not be able to do justice in your deliberation. It is only when there is sufficient information at your disposal, then you can argue. But if you don't have it, Even if you partake in any debate, you will finally discover that you have made a very wrong decision. So it is because of this. This is originally a request from Zamfara state government, in which they have requested the federal government to support them. And Mr. President, as we always know, that his priority is security, and he always listens to complaints and new strategies on how to handle. So he is very much aware, and it is a trial. Let us support them. And based on the information we have been reading and hearing through the media, that tremendous successes have been recorded so far. So we need to support them to make sure that our country is secured, and this is going to be good for all of us. And secondly, on the issue of shutting down the telecommunications facilities, as I said yesterday during an event in which some of your colleagues were there, that in the digital economy sector, we agree that we can compromise the economic benefit of the sector as long as that compromise will bring an end to insecurity. Investors in the sector invested because of profit, but they understand the priority of our government. Then when security benefits, security and economic benefits are going to be attained simultaneously, then definitely we are going to pursue both of them. But if only one can be attained by compromising the other one, we agree to compromise the economic benefit of our sector in order to support security institutions to deliver their mandate. Because as long as there is no security, even the economy will not thrive. So because of this, we agree. We come up with so many policies. That policies reduce the growth of our sector, we know. But we know they will support security of the country. So we agree to reduce the growth of our sector relatively in order to support the security, like NIN registration and SIM. We know. But because of security reasons, we have to accept that. And this shutdown will definitely affect our sector economically. However, as long as this effort will save the life of one innocent Nigerian, we have no regret in doing that. Because the life of one innocent Nigerian is better than any economic benefit we can attain in this country. So it is because of this, we agree, and all stakeholders support the decision of government. I have been meeting with all of them, that as long as this effort will support your government, we will do it for you. So it is because of this, we have given that benefit of doubt to security institutions, and we agree to shut down that will affect the economic development of the sector for the security and stability of our country. And finally, with all this effort and with all this compromise we are making, the fastest growing sector of our economy today in Nigeria is the ICT sector. The recent report released by Bureau of National Bureau of Statistics of the second quarter of 2021, the fastest growing sector is clearly mentioned. And if you look at the performance of ICT sector, it's 17.92%. This is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. There wasn't any time beside the second quarter in which the ICT sector contributed 17.92% to our GDP. And by August last month, within 2 years, I spent in office representing President Muhammadu Buhari. What the sector has generated directly for the Federation is over 1 trillion naira. Through the sale of spectrum, frequencies license, and through the remittance of the operators to FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue, and through what has been generated and appropriated by the National Assembly for the sector is over 1 trillion naira. This is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. So with all this support we have been rendering to security to do their work, still the sector is progressing because of our population. And we will continue to do that. So based on, I think it has been announced in the, it is a strategic matter. I will appreciate if you cannot compel me to say, because I believe keeping it confidential is more important to the strategy of the institutions doing the work. Please.
He's coming to it.
I will come to it.
To your question.
That we have been using NIN, and this is coming up. For your information, NIN definitely has significantly reduced the abuse of SIM cards in Nigeria, because SIM cards are, or SIM numbers are, national resources. Number two, what we discovered recently, because of lack of proliferation of unregistered SIMs or improperly registered, what criminals usually do, they roadblock highways and they seize telephones from travelers, and they use the telephones to commit crime, and after a day or two they will destroy and they will roadblock another highway and seize telephones and continue to use them. This is to show to you that they have shifted from buying SIMs now to roadblocking highways and collecting travelers' phones and SIMs. And secondly, there are some examples where security institutions discovered that of recent, usually criminals do not use SIM registered with their names, because it's not available in the market. And if they register with their NIN, their identity is known. When they kidnap an innocent citizen, they will use his mobile phone to make a call. So when security institutions are contacted with that number and they get the biodata, they will discover it is the biodata of the kidnapped, not the kidnapper. So they are using the phone of the kidnapped, not the kidnapper. But still, government doesn't sleep. Government has been working through security institutions with new approaches that even if you use the kidnapped SIM, your identity or your location will be known. At least your location will be known. And even this one is not for public. But even if you use it, if we cannot know your identity, then definitely your location will easily be known by security institutions, not by us, because it is their work. When they need support, we always provide. And I do hope that that has answered the issue of NIN. And for your information, which I think is relevant, when we started the issue of NIN, as you said, there were so many complaints. Only 3 months ago, Ghana came up with the same policy, copying the initiative of federal government of Nigeria. 2 days ago, a Nigerian has been elevated to the position of MD Airtel Africa, Mr. Shegun. He contacted me saying, Honorable Minister, what you started in Nigeria, some were complaining. Now it becomes an African issue. He said, when I became the MD Africa, my MD from Rwanda called me that by 1st September, Rwandan government directed the MNOs that no SIM should be issued without national identity number. And he said Tanzania MD also contacted me that they also copied Nigerian model. So now it is no more a Nigerian model. That model has been copied by other nations, and that is what makes us the giant of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.